Hello and welcome to another episode of Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is Bryan Steele, and I will be your nerd today and any other day that you watch one of my silly little shows. Hi, everybody. So it's been a crazy week. You'll note by the name of this video that a lot has been going on. And I'm going to share some of that with you because topic-wise, I might pontificate a bit, but I did want to. I wanted to cover a few things before Gamma next week. We're actually going to talk about this week, and then we're going to talk about some of the things that I am prepping for next week. Mostly because there's some pretty big, important stuff happening for several different facets of life. First and foremost, I thought this week was going to be an unboxing to show off some cool stuff from one of my industry connections or whatever, but that didn't gel together for a variety of reasons, some of which we'll talk about. But hopefully that will happen soon. Or sooner rather than later, in my personal opinion. So let's just dive in. This video might be a little short. Next week's episode will probably be longer because I'll have a lot of cool stuff to talk about. Hopefully, some very cool stuff to talk about. But that is the future. Let's talk about the past. Not the present. I don't know. Let's do the one hell of a week in Bryan. First and foremost, painting. I've done nothing. I've been prepping for the show for next week and getting play testings in, and we'll talk about that in the gameplay stuff. But no, I haven't had a chance to do any painting. I did some 3D printing with my new 3D printer. I finished the commission for a friend of mine that started last year. So that's really been most of my hobby time has been just printing and being a little more careful. There were several times last year that I resin dusted myself or got a little on my finger and did the eyeball thing, which of course is terrible. I've been a little more careful this time. Made sure I've been gloving up when I'm changing stuff out and whatever. And in fact, the new one is working so well, I'm out of resin again, so I need to buy more. But apart from that, not a lot of painting. Not a lot of painting going on. I had to go through my Arc Knight and Skinny Mini standees for a couple of different games. Some upcoming stuff, so I love Skinny Minis and the Arc Knight plastic standees. I love them. I think they're awesome. I think they're great. They're a perfect stand-in, no pun intended, for when you need a cheap alternative, or if you maybe you don't paint minis or something along those lines, because they look fine on the map. You know, like it's not like you're trying to play a miniature war game with them. But I will say that it is. I personally would rather have 3D minis, but they are so good at what they are designed for. Like if I need like 20 goblins, unless I'm really making an event out of it, 20 plastic goblin standees is so much easier than painting 20 3D goblins or printing and then painting 20 3D goblins. Hobby time wise was spent almost more organizational and things of the such. Getting all that stuff squared away before I head out to Gamma for next week. Personal, actually, let's do gameplay first. Gameplay, I played in my wife's D&D game, her Land of Monsters game, last weekend. Had a great time. It was mostly a shopping and prep session, but we did have a really cool instance where we got to get some good role play in, and honestly, it was a cool spot where my teenage son, who's playing a changeling bard, got to flex. His dice were terrible, but he got to flex a little bit about some of the stuff that his character can do. Because when we get into combat, it's our barbarian hits things real hard. Our sorceress casts nasty magics. I grow to large size and smash things with my new hammer. And even then, Connor does some pretty cool like psychic stuff with his bard fanciness. But especially when you're playing a bard that can shapeshift, there's a lot of social like manipulation and deception and tomfoolery that you can really get into, and it was nice to see him get into that and try. But sadly, his dice were absolutely just naff. They were terrible. Which leads to a fun scene. Like, yes, I as a gamer daddy, I don't like to see the disappointment on his face when his skill rolls come up crap and like the things that he's trying to do fail. I don't like seeing that reaction, but I do like seeing that it was used to turn into a larger scene, and we got some more information on it. We all got some chuckles out of it. He found a secret note that was that it obviously leans toward kind of a not blackmail, but like a there's a hidden plot, a secret plot happening behind the scenes, and it's written to a person with the first initial of B, and we got it off of a guy named Janice, and it started this whole conversation of maybe Janice starts with a B and the B is silent, so then we started calling him Bajanice, and then everybody who was possibly a part of this conspiracy or someone who we didn't trust, their name starts with a B as well, and it turns into a table gag. But it was fun. It was nice to see him use some of his skills. I did do the thing that a lot of gamers do, where sometimes where things are going off the rails as a player, and you just kind of go when one of the players is doing dumb player things. And one of the players has been he's relatively new to tabletop D&D. He's played video games, he's played other role-playing games, and he is taking to it amazingly well. I love the dude to death, and the gamer bug bit him hard. He plays in like 2 online games now that has nothing to do with our gamer group, but it's really, really cool. However, he is also doing that new gamer thing of I'm 3rd level now. When I'm 9th level, I'll have all of these things, and these 4 magic items are exactly what my character needs to do the things I want to do, and I want to go to the magic item shop and I want to buy those 4 items. Whereas narratively, his character has no idea that these items exist. He's got no arcana skill. He's got no history with magic. Just because the player knows the player's handbook exists and has D&D Beyond, suddenly his character knows about this is not the true, the wand of obscureness. And during the shopping extravaganza, which again, I have no problem with a good shopping episode. You need to be able to prep for the future stuff. But I did have to step in and be like, dude, there is no way your character knows about these 4 specific magic items and just carries around a coupon, please buy 1 get 3 free. And so it was fun, and he took it in stride. I don't think he took my my comment as a wet blanket or anything, but it is one of those things where sometimes metagaming, it's not a negative, it's not hurting the game or anything, but it's just scraping the back of my skull enough that I was like, okay, all right, I have to say something. And I did. Which of course makes me that gamer, the guy who narcs on his fellow players who are possibly, helping the party get stronger. I also just don't want Natalie, who is the DM, I also don't want the DM to suddenly feel inclined like they have to give in to all of these player demands or their players aren't going to have any fun. So it was a great session. We had a good time. We ended on a good note. We're about ready to leave with these drow nobles. There's a cool wedding, elope, possibly third-party love triangle thing that's happening, and it's cool. It's really, really neat. I think Natalie's doing a really, really good job with the arc, and I'll tell you more as it unfolds. Other gaming-wise, I got to do a slight amount of playtesting for a session that I am going to be running next week, which I will talk about a little bit. When I start talking about the Gamma stuff, I'll fill you in a little more on that. And I managed to only get one Warzone Eternal playtest game in, and it was actually short. We didn't finish the full game. I just simply didn't have the energy or the bandwidth to get it completely done. But we did get a couple turns in, and we got to see some of the units doing some of the unit things. One of the things that the playtesters have mentioned about some of the Wave 2 stuff, there's a particular mechanic that people were concerned about, and I can see, having now played a couple of rounds with that on the table, the way it's currently written. I know I'm being vague, but it's not something that's been advertised yet, so I don't want to let that let that mystic out of the bag. Oh no, but either way, I was looking at that stuff specifically, and I tried to do what they were saying could be done. And while I don't think that it's unbalanced, I do think that if you've got hot dice, and then again, that can be said about anything, but if you do have good dice, it can be a little, it can definitely feel like you're going up against a brick wall. So I'm not sure if it's something that needs to be changed because hot dice are a thing, or if it's something that maybe needs to get toned down just a smidge. Oh, or maybe require some kind of stat test or something. I don't know. As it is right now, it's cool. It feels right. But if someone's dice are moderately better than average, it can be pretty... It can feel, as the opponent, it can feel a little, what the heck is with that guy? So, yeah. So we'll see. But that and playing some Baldur's Gate when I have the opportunity. I've been doing a lot more work stuff. So, yeah. God... Let's work and personal kind of bleed together. So let's just go ahead and personal wise, I had part of the reason why this video is the way this video is going to be is, so last week, roughly about the same time that last week's episode was becoming live for everybody, I went to the gym, I came home, and I started feeling an absolute intense pain in my lower right side. To give you guys a little bit of a little peek into the old Bryan brain, I have a very, very intense, I won't call it a phobia, but it's definitely some serious anxiety issues when it comes to people in the medical profession. Every time one of my treasured family, my close treasured family members have gone in to the doctor to do something, rudimentary or run of the mill, several of those times have things turned out that they find something so much larger and so much more terrible, and then I lose that person. And not just we lose that person. Coming from my uncle's initial ulcer, which through the ulcer situation, they found his cancer, and his cancer ended up killing him. Through my grandfather going in for what he thought was the flu and turned out to be pancreatic cancer and died like a week later. It's just I've got a lot of not to overuse a term that I think that people definitely overuse right now. I've got a lot of medical trauma that have nothing to do with me. So I generally stay as far away from doctors as I can unless something hurts. And even then, if something does hurt, I generally try to muscle through it unless I know there's something wrong. Unless literally something's telling me, hey, this is bigger than you think it is. This is not something you can walk off. This isn't just gas that you need to expel. This is something. And I come home from the gym, and I, which I'm doing fine on, by the way, back down to where I was before the winter fantasy. But got back to it, and I got home, I took my shower, and while I was trying to get dressed, I started feeling it started as kind of a sharp pain, and then it became a dull pain that just kept getting bigger. And I used to date someone who is now a doctor, and I immediately went through the things that she would have tried to have me do, and I did all the pressing on the abdomen, and I kind of ruled out an appendicitis pretty fast, but it, there have been ulcers in my family. I have been under a tremendous amount of stress for the last couple of years, and that's where my initial worry was, is that this is an ulcer, it's rupturing, I'm gonna have to go into the hospital. And the worst part is, when this was happening, I had two thoughts that rolled through my head. The first one was the rational, what's the last thing that I talked said, what's the last thing that I had said to my son? And I almost picked up my phone he was at school, so I wasn't going to be able to call him, but I almost picked up my phone to at least text him and, send a happy message, nothing like, hey kid, I'm dying, but some kind of message that he will then have that as that last interaction. If it was as terrible, this is how my anxiety works. And I didn't. I thought better of it. And the other thing that I thought of, honestly, was all of the work that I have half done, all the projects that I'm involved in, all of the books that are half written, and I was like, who's going to finish all that stuff? Is all that stuff going to go, is my legacy going to be all of this stuff stays undone? And that's the stuff that rolls around in my head. Again, we're peeking into the brain on Bryan. The reason why this last week has been rough is I haven't had one of those full-on panic moments in a long time, and I had one. I had this is the end, my friend. You're going to go to the hospital with some side pain. They're going to find out that it's a ruptured ulcer and has gone septic, and you've got 24 hours to live. And even if you do live, you're going to be in so much medical debt that you're not going to be able to, live even remotely happily for the next 10 years. So the pain kept going. And Natalie came home from taking our dogs to the vet, and heard from me that I was having a hard time, that I could lay down, I could stand up, but sitting was real rough. I was having a hard time with that. And it was to the point where I was trying to use dumb phone games to kind of keep my mind off of the pain, and I couldn't even do that. I couldn't even watch dumb TikToks. It was I won't say the most pain I've ever been in. Maybe it was bad. It was rough. And it got to the point where I finally, Natalie's like, we need to take you in and have someone look at you. And I was like, all right, fine. Let's go get this over with. And so we went in, and the pain kind of started to wax and wane a little bit. And I get in front of the doctor, and they're like, well, let's get you into some x-rays and see if, see what we can see. And sure enough, what Bryan was experiencing was, medically, they call them flavonoids, which I think sounds like an alien. It's kidney stones. I had one normal-sized one and one kind of microscopic one that they could pick up on the x-ray, and that all this pain that I was having was it pushing its way through my kidney. It sucked. It was rough. It was really terrible. They basically were like, if you think you can handle, a couple of days of drinking an obscene amount of water and taking more anti-inflammatory and painkillers than you normally would, let's send you home and see what happens. And sure enough, day and a half later, I expel this sharp little bastard, and I've been fine ever since. No problems, no aches or pains of that variety. Even went back to the gym on Wednesday. So yes, that definitely started the week off weirdly, unexpectedly, and it made me do a lot of, as I'm sure for those of you watching the video, it made me do a lot of internalized kind of brain searching of how to get things taken care of, and it set the tone for kind of me refocusing and being like, time to do some stuff. And I know, someone's like, trauma response, you're just diving into work. Yes, but also it is, it's something that I feel I need to do because I've got a lot of projects going on, a lot of great projects, and I don't want to give any of them any less attention. I want to make sure that they all get the attention that they deserve, and that they all get done in a timely fashion. Even to the point where I had a meeting with the guy in charge of novels over at Catalyst, got everything back on track, got my art order in for ouch, that hurt. I literally just smacked my finger and broke my nail. Ouch. And my nails aren't even that long. God bless, that hurt. Sorry. Real time, ouch. So I got my art order for the cover squared away, and talked to him about the next one. Yeah, just it was a good meeting. It was nice and refreshing. The stuff at Evil Genius, the negativity has mostly seemed to have waned. Social media being social media, that it has, I don't want to say moved on, but the boss posted a really nice letter, basically explaining the steps he's taking to fix some of the things that were problematic enough that people left the company. We have re-established a bunch of really cool stuff inside of the company, created a couple of safety nets. We lost some steam on a few things, but anytime that you have the equivalent of death in the family, so to speak, losing some important people for a variety of reasons, it means that everybody else has to kind of pick up the slack and maybe do some things that they're not used to doing, at least for a short amount of time. And it's gonna turn out good. We've got a lot of really cool stuff happening, a lot of cool stuff that is in progress. It's being slowed down. But I had a lot of really cool conversations this week with the folks over at Legendary about some art pieces, and I'm hoping to be able to have some really cool stuff to show everybody soon. Which we'll talk about that here in a second. Already talked about Warzone. Did a little playtesting, bunch of cool stuff there. But I think the two big things that I am looking forward to is Gamma next week. We are going to get to I get to do some beta rule kind of tiny, like small sessions with some retailers and maybe some industry folk, depending on who signs up for it, of our Intergalactic Heroes rule set. I wrote a little mini adventure, and I'm a bunch of pre-gens using the new alien races or alien origins, my mistake, and some new backgrounds and new professions and things for IGH. That's right. It's already got a 3-letter set up for it. But it's going to be nice to be able to reveal some of the cool stuff that we put together. And it is definitely cool to start putting proverbial pen to paper on getting that book turned into a book, if that makes any sense. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be anybody who likes everyday heroes and likes like space opera sci-fi, I think will enjoy this a great deal. And it's gonna be cool to show people outside of internal stuff next week at Gamma. So big ups to that. Also at Gamma, I get to see some of my friends, my industry folks, my colleagues and buddies. So that'll be a ton of fun. And at the end, my Gamma ends actually a day and a half earlier than everyone else's does, because as we bleed into personal life. Oh, I forgot. One of the cool things that's happening next week is like in the middle, it's like smack at the beginning of Gamma, is the Kickstarter for Surviving Strange Hollow is launching. It launches on March 5th. And I cannot be more excited. Being on a team with Elisa and Ed again. That would be Elisa Teague and Ed Greenwood. Elminster himself. Which, all right, I know I say this a lot, but there are times where I have to kind of step out of my body and go, you're friends and colleagues with the guy who created Forgotten Realms. Natalie and I were playing Baldur's Gate the other day, and we met spoilers for people playing Baldur's Gate. Elminster is in it. You get to meet him. And the whole conversation that was happening, I just kept going, that's Ed. It's Ed. I know that guy. I was just geeking out for reasons that other people don't know. And having him part of Surviving Strange Hollow, with Pathfinder's Aaron Roberts, Dale Kingsmill, from several podcasts, I won't say social media mogul, but she's amazing. I love her takes on things, because there are so many times where I feel some of the D&D and RPG social media people say the things they say because it's what they feel the audience wants to hear. And I absolutely love the fact that Dale is real. That she absolutely says what she's thinking. She absolutely backs up. When someone has like a weird take, she'll be like, "Well, that's a weird take," and say what it is. I am very. I enjoy her content a great deal, and I love the fact that she is on this crew. Obviously, having someone who writes for the Critical Role role-playing game, James Hake, involved. I mean, tangentially, that's like the Kevin Bacon version of role-playing games is how far away are you from a critical role. I can't say enough about being with Elisa. Elisa is like my... I can't really even say sister from another mister, because that's not our relationship. I love her to death. If there was any way for us to be physically closer than being half a country apart, I would love to run like a regular game for Elisa. Or at least make sure that she was part of one of my regular games. I love her. I would just want to, every time I see her, I want to just grab her and squeeze her. In a hug, just like, pop her like a bubble. And then, the man, the myth, the legend, Sean Merwin. I know that one of his creations gets a lot of hype, or gets a lot of heat, because of where it came and when it came, but he was the mastermind behind 4th edition, the system of 4th edition D&D. And for what it's worth, say what you will about whether or not you liked it as an application for D&D. 4th Ed D&D mechanically was really good. It was a really good system. I don't know if I necessarily cared for it much to fit for D&D, or definitely not for Star Wars, the Saga Edition. But mechanically, Sean is he's as much of a wizard as Elminster. He does some really, really good stuff, and I love the fact that he's letting me help a little bit with some design stuff, kind of droplets of design. But the stuff that he's already cooked up is amazing, and I'm really, really looking forward to see how he gamifies some of the fiction that we are creating for Surviving Strange Hollow. So that goes to Kickstarter on Tuesday while I'm at Gamma. I am trying to figure out whether or not there's supposed to be a really cool event happening on that day. I'm trying to find a way to become part of it, even though I'm at Gamma. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Please, 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 if you're even remotely interested in supporting a team of great artists, an awesome project, and supporting Emily Hare's world, please, please, please be part of that project when it launches. Head over to Kickstarter, look up Surviving Strange Hollow, get on that list. Or go to getaccidentalcyclops.com and follow the link in the description and become one of the VIPs. It costs $1, but the VIPs get like a special art print, and I might say that there's a super secret Facebook group that only the VIPs are in, and they've already seen some cool stuff from the game. So it's worth $1 to go be a part of it. Follow the link. So then, at the end of Gamma, the big thing that has nothing to do with work whatsoever, except for maybe if it doesn't go well, I'll be working more. So I leave Gamma a day and a half early because I have to come home and get everything squared away and prepped and ready to leave bright and early the next morning to drive upstate to go to Natalie's disability hearing in front of an actual judge. For the people who don't know, Natalie has a nerve disease called myasthenia gravis, and it has kept her from working a full-time job for almost 5 years now, 4 years. No, almost 5. And part-time is very hard to do when you've got someone who has stress-related triggered seizures. Myasthenic crisis basically can be extremely frightening to outsiders if they don't know what they're looking for. And she has general muscle fatigue and pain pretty much constantly. It's rough. It is not an easy thing for her to deal with, and financially, it's very hard on our family. It is one of the reasons why I work as much and as often and as hard as I do for as many different projects that I do. Because it's how we can stay above water. And even then, if you really look at, medical debt and things, it's not really above water. But I have a nice submarine, maybe? I don't know. I'm running out of good naval analogies. But next week is the actual final. You can always appeal again and again and again, but everyone I've talked to, and including our lawyer, pretty much says that if this goes against us, it's more or less a nail in the coffin. That the disability claim, if this judge determines, after looking everything over and talking to everybody and looking at witness statements and hearing from me as the caretaker / spouse, that it's very hard to get anyone else to overturn that ruling. So that happens at the end of next week, which is why I have such a which is why I'm having such kind of a interesting episode now, because next week's episode will either be hopefully big celebrations, basically between the Kickstarter and Gamma and the court case. Next week is next week's episode is going to have a lot of, almost like this episode is the dun 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 episode, and the cliffhanger is to find out how all these things shape up. So I'm really looking forward. Next week's episode will technically be post Gamma, but I think it's probably going to be just a download news moment. Here's all the stuff. And honestly, because I will be gone all day Thursday, it will probably be live. I will probably do a live episode next week. So for those of you who are on different time zones than I am, I will try and go live on Friday next week to fill everyone in about how all of this stuff went, and to answer questions and all that stuff, as normal. It'll be the normal time slot, so noon Eastern Standard Time. For my UK friends, that should be around 5:00 p.m. for you, if you want to be able to be on to ask questions and be part of all this wondrousness. But yeah, so fingers crossed, toes crossed. Let's hope that the judge that we get is a good one, and someone who understands just the reality of Natalie's situation and what that could mean for my family and for her personally. So yeah, that is the week in Bryan. I know that's a weird episode this week, but yeah, I think we'll leave it there because I've got a ton to do before Gamma. I got to get stuff squared away, and I hope that next time you watch one of these silly little shows, the live episode next week, I hope that it is filled with nothing but awesome and cheer and celebration. And I hope that, whatever good vibes and juju you can send out for that you will, as friends and fans and family of mine, as we say in the industry. No. So yeah, just, until then, until you talk to me next, keep me in your thoughts and your vibes, and be safe. Don't lick doorknobs. Wash your hands. Wear a mask if you have to. Go get a shot. You know how that goes. Just try and leave every room a little happier than when you got there, and play some games. We'll see you in a week, hopefully with some good news.